and welcome to episode 2 of Live, Eat, Be Well's meditation series. So we have already done in episode 1 what is meditation, and in episode 1A a little bit about who should meditate, and now we're in episode 2. And this episode is why do I fail at meditation? So this is kind of an interesting episode for me because I think that one of the things that people say is, I tried that. It didn't work for me. I can't meditate. Or they say, yeah, did that, done that, been there, didn't get results. Or I can't sit still. Tons of reasons. So why isn't meditation working for you? Why are you a meditation failure? So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start this video with a little story. When I was in 9th grade, I was taking Algebra 2. And my teacher's name was Mrs. Lehman, and I wish that I could go back and tell Mrs. Lehman what a profound effect she had on my life. Teachers, man, change the world. So Mrs. Lehman taught Algebra 2, and I was failing her class. And she calls home to my mom, and she tells my mom that I'm failing her class. And my mom's like, this is so weird because Heather's normally like a really bright student. She normally does really well in her classes, the whole 9 yards. And Mrs. Lehman's like, well, she's failing my class. And I hated Mrs. Lehman. I was like, this lady's crazy. I do not like her. I talk bad behind her back. I mean, a bunch of things that now I'm kind of ashamed about, but hey, they happen. That's the real talk. So my mom had this meeting with her, and she also taught at the community college. She taught like some night, maybe, I don't even know what the classes were, like GED classes maybe, and then she also taught like a nursing class. So she told like a math for nursing. So she told my mom that I could come sit in the class, and that basically the class was going over the same content that we were learning in our 9th grade Algebra 2 class. And then I could come sit in there, and maybe that would like give me like some enrichment support that might help me progress. And she had known that I had taken some classes at the community college over the summer so that I would feel comfortable in that environment and blah, blah, blah. So I went and sat in the class, and I still wasn't getting it. I mean, I was still failing math. And there was this one girl in the nursing math class, and she also was not the brightest student. And she went up to the board one day, and she was solving this math problem, and she just went up there and she solved it, and I saw where she went wrong. Like, I was like, oh, I know what's wrong. I can solve that problem. Mrs. Lehman says, all right, come on up, solve the problem. I solved it. So I went on in my life to be able to teach math. And the moral of this story, like the reason I'm telling you that story is I didn't fail Algebra 2. I was failing in that moment. I didn't succeed at that time, but I had to look at it from a different perspective. I had to see it in a different place, from a different view, with a different person standing in the board to like be able to see it. And because Mrs. Lehman gave me that opportunity and she didn't give up on me, it profoundly affected my educational trajectory. And so Mrs. Lehman, if anybody ever knows her, or if you ever watch this video, thank you so much for changing my life. But the reason I tell you that is you didn't fail. I didn't fail. I just needed to keep trying. Attempt is not failure. So this is something that I tell myself a lot in life. Attempt is not failure. I attempt a lot of stuff and don't succeed, but I don't count that like up in my failure chart. So I want to go through about 9 things and just sort of address them. So I got a few of these from Ken Clope. In my first video, I discussed him. He's a mediator, and he also is an avid meditator. And so he gives some advice on like troubleshooting that I think is really helpful. Of course, I have read a gajillion books. There's this woman, she's a transformational meditation instructor, and her books or her website and materials are a little bit more geared toward like yogic meditation. Her name's Sherry Wade, and I'll put a link to her website down below. But some of this stuff comes from her. And over the course of this series, I'm going to give you a lot of reference materials that you can refer back to. Not just Ken Cloak, who I seem to keep quoting, but he resonates with me a lot. So, number one, don't beat yourself up. Don't panic. Don't give up. Keep trying. So, that's it. And when you're saying, I'm failing and I'm not getting benefits, I just don't think that that's true. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So if you feel like this meditation didn't go well, don't beat yourself up. Don't panic. Don't stop. Just keep trying. I was meditating last night in my backyard. I stepped on a rock. I hurt my foot. It didn't go as I planned. I started crying. Like it was a mess. It was a mess. But I'm going to do it again tonight. Like I'm not going to give up. Okay, number two, progress is slow. So you're not going to wake up tomorrow and be able to just be like, zenned out. Progress is sometimes slow, but as with all skills, it accumulates over time. I wish I could make a sports analogy, but I don't really know a lot of sports figures, but like Serena Williams, there, I know somebody. Okay, Serena Williams didn't wake up and become like a Wimbledon champion. It doesn't work like that. Skills don't just happen. I mean, there are people who are like natural born prodigies and stuff, but even they work on their skill. So progress accumulates over time. This is something that if you work at it, practice will help you. Don't go it alone. Read, listen, find others. Lack of interest and frustration is part of the process, and it's normal, right? Like with everything, we like ebb and flow in interest. So we don't always have interest in the same thing. We're not always focused on the same TV show, or we don't always have the same interest in the same type of book, or we don't eat the same thing every day. Like interest ebbs and flows. So that's normal. And if you find a group of like-minded people you can talk or watch videos on YouTube, or maybe find a Facebook group, or if you read books, I'm sure if you go to your library, you can find a plethora of books. And one of our videos that's going to be in the future in a couple of weeks is going to be like a list of reading materials that you can turn to. So that's something that will help you feel more connected and not chalk it up in your failure chart. No time like the present. So there's no time like the present. So I feel like one of the things that people say is, I don't have time, I don't have space, I don't have whatever. But there's no time like right now. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, like be Nike, just do it, right? So Ken Cloak, back to him, he talks about this thing called conflict meditation, and that's where you're like in the dentist chair and you're just trying to meditate in like these very difficult situations. So that may not be something that you can do it like as a beginner, right? Because it's really challenging to meditate without distraction, let alone with distraction. But I like that idea even for beginners. So if you don't have the perfect space, or if you don't have the perfect amount of time, if you're like, I don't have this set amount of time that I wanted to have, all I have is 5 minutes, and all I have is this chair in my dining room. That's okay. Just start there. Do that. No time like the present. The struggle of change is real. The struggle of change is real. So when you start changing inside, your perspective changes, and your feelings toward other people, events, the world around you changes. And sometimes that can impact your relationships, and that can be really difficult. And I know that this is something that I personally experience, and I know that this is something that a lot of people that I'm friends with and that I interact with experience. So trust me, I know that the struggle of change is real. So like, do you want to stay who you were, or do you want to become someone new? And that's like the decision you have to make. But ultimately, like, your happiness will come through no matter how that change happens. And when you maybe have to like shed older friends, like not older, like elderly, but like friends from your past, just realize that like you'll get new friends, And sometimes those friends served us for that purpose in that moment, and our new friends are going to serve us for a new purpose in a new moment. And sometimes we get to take those friends from our past with us on this journey, and it's really impactful. So I know that the struggle of change is real. Sometimes the change is difficult even just for us. So that can be a reason that we want to chalk things up into our failure bucket. But if that's like something that you're experiencing, let me know in the comments below and we can talk about it. Okay, another one is what I call stinking thinking and instant gratification. I'm putting those together. So like, this goes back to like it didn't go how I wanted, something went wrong, this is mumbo jumbo, blah, blah, blah. But there are like real peer-reviewed scientific studies that show that meditation works on your neuroscience. And we're going to talk about this in an upcoming episode so that you don't just think this is mumbo jumbo bunk stuff. Like, this is real. And you're stinking thinking, you can get over that. And we live in a culture in the United States, if you're in the United States watching, or in the Western world, of like immediate gratification. I want it now. I have a great like little story. Like, my husband really wanted a new TV. I did not want a new TV. We were talking about it. I told him I didn't think it was a good time. I mean, he like obsessed about it until he got this new TV. It was like this crazy thing. Like, he could not let go. He couldn't just wait for the TV because he needed that immediate gratification. So know that meditation isn't always an immediate gratification sport. So you may have to wait. Another is, what will others think? So what is somebody going to think if they find out that I'm meditating? Okay, so if that's what you're worried about, nobody has to know. This is something you can do privately. Do it in the shower if you have to do it so that you're private. But eventually, I think that you will experience a change and you'll want other people to know, because you'll know that it actually works and you'll want to share this with them. So don't worry about what other people think about this. This is something that can be totally private and you don't have to worry about. This is a kind of a funny one. I fell asleep. I was thinking about this last night and I was like, what could be something that could be on the list? And I fell asleep just popped up, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally happened to me. So if you're the I fall asleep person when I'm meditating, get more sleep. It's okay if you fall asleep. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't panic. Try again. Realize that maybe you're really tired and you're really stressed out. So do it at a time. Just try it at a different time of day. Try it in the morning if you're doing it at night. Try it at night if you're doing it in the morning. Try it at your lunch break if nothing else is working. Try to get more sleep at night so that you're not tired when you're trying to calm your mind. And the last one, I've been saying a lot in these videos. I really apologize. I normally don't say at all. Okay, the last one, and this one is important. So we're gonna slow down. I'm not gonna talk so fast for this one. It isn't a chore. Meditation isn't a chore. It's not something that you need to check off your to-do list. It's a joy. It isn't a chore, it's a joy. So even when it doesn't go the way you planned, you're still benefiting from it. You're still getting something out of it. So that may be crying. I told you last night, my meditation didn't go the way I planned. I started crying, sitting outside. Weird, but I got some emotions out. 5 minutes of silence. How often do you get that during the day? Just quiet, silence, just to experience yourself, to check in with your body. 5 minutes. Who cares if your meditation didn't go well? You deserve 5 minutes of silence. Alone time. How often do you get to just be alone with your thoughts and think about stuff? So even if you can't find the space between your attention and thought, at least you got to be alone with your thoughts for 5 minutes. Maybe it was a terrific brainstorm. I've had meditations where I've been sitting there and all of a sudden I know the answer to my problem. That's it. I got to stop meditating right now. I've got to write this down. I solved my problem. So it didn't go the way that I wanted it to, and I didn't have the meditation that I had envisioned, but I had a terrific brainstorm. So there is no fail. I wanted to quote Youre. there is no there is no try, only do, right? There is no fail, only meditate. So in conclusion, you are not failing at meditating. That is a mindset. Have a growth mindset. Grow yourself. You are not failing. Every meditation is a success on the journey toward a happier, healthier, better you. So stop chalking it up on the failure board and get out there and meditate. And until next episode of meditation, live, eat, and be well.